Hello English finally! How are you doing today? In this video, we're going to talk about something very important. We're going to focus on the most important thing in English. What is it? It's vocabulary. You have to admit, if you don't know any words, it's difficult to communicate in any language. Imagine that you go on holiday to Italy. What are you going to take with you? A grammar book or a dictionary? Okay, so we all agree it's very important to know some vocabulary. So now let's talk about it and let's see how to do it effectively so that you can remember. Let's do it. I'm going to warn you right now that there is not only one correct way to learn English. We are all different. We all have different learning styles. We all have different personalities. So the best thing is to realize what works best for you and what doesn't. And don't be afraid to try new things. I'm going to share with you my best practices and experiences. But the ultimate choice to choose the best way to learn new vocabulary is up to you. By the way, do you know the story about lumberjack who's cutting trees with a blunt axe? He's all sweat and tired. When his friend comes over and asks him, "How's it going?" And he says, "Oh, it sucks today. It sucks. Very difficult to chop today. My axe is blunt." So his friend tells him logically, "Go ahead and sharpen your axe." But lumberjack answers, "You crazy? I don't have time to do it. Don't you see how busy I am?" And why am I telling you this story? Because I see some English students doing the same thing. They try to memorize a list of vocabulary over and over again, and they still don't remember it, but they still do the same thing over and over again without any results. Albert Einstein defined the insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That is insanity. So I'm trying to motivate you to think about what works for you and what doesn't. Try to find new ways and approaches. And think about how to learn English the easiest way. Generally, we can say that reading a long list of vocabulary is not effective. Why? Because you are passive, and that's the reason you're going to forget everything very soon. Especially if you never come back to that vocabulary again. I'm pretty sure that you all remember from the school when you had to study for the exam very fast, very quickly, and then write it down to the test and forget it. It happened to me too. Alright, now I can hear you. Well, you keep telling me what not to do. Tell me what I should do instead. Yes, the first thing that you need to do is repetition. I know it sounds boring, but that's the way it is. That's the way to go. If you see the new word only once, you're going to forget it. But if you repeat that new word next day and maybe a week later, the probability of remembering this new word will increase significantly. One option is to go back and review the words that you learned yesterday or a week before. We are all fortunate because there are many different programs and applications these days that help us learn English and make us repeat the vocabulary that we learned in the past. They give you the vocabulary you learned to review over and over again. And if you make a mistake in that word, they give you that word more often again to review it and to learn. So, they are doing all this work for you. Isn't that wonderful? Now, I'd like to introduce my favorite method. How I learn new vocabulary. I call it an old school method. Yeah? I take my notepad, I write down the date, and I put down all the new vocabulary that I learned that day. I put down how to spell it, how to pronounce it, and the explanation in English. And I always put it in use. I put down an example how I can use it on a daily basis. The next day, when I open my notepad, I review all my new words from the previous day. And those that I don't remember, I write them again. And I do this every day, over and over again. You might say it's boring. Well, maybe I realized that this is the best method for me. And I remember new vocabulary the best when I write them down. And again, it's up to you what works the best for you and what doesn't. Another method that people use is flashcards. On one side, you have a new word, and on the other side, you explain that word in English. Or if you're a beginner, you can translate it to your language. Put them in your pocket. Anytime you're waiting anywhere, pull them out, review them, and see if you can remember this new vocabulary. If not, you review it, you repeat. Repetition is the most important thing. Are you struggling to remember new vocabulary no matter how hard you try? Well, then I'm going to reveal 2 amazing tips. The very first one is to connect the new word with a picture. Why? Well, simply because our brain remembers better pictures. Yes, our brain remembers pictures better than words. And the second trick is to use the new word as often as possible. There's a lovely proverb in English: use it or lose it. If you don't want to lose it, you need to use it. Use it on daily basis. Use it with your friend in conversations and anytime you have an opportunity to use that new word. If you happen not to like Duolingo, I have another application for you. It's called Memrise. And I know many people who say it's even better than Duolingo. So go ahead, try both applications out and see what suits you. And now let's summarize it. No matter what kind of approach you're going to decide for, try to go back and review the vocabulary later. That's very important. Try to actively use that vocabulary and pronounce it aloud. And don't forget that new phrase that we learned. Use it or lose it.